All right, it looks like something's happening now. My apologies, everybody. We're running a little bit behind time here. A few technical issues that needed to be worked out, but here I am, your favorite life coach's favorite life coach. I'm Tie Davidson, also known as Divine Chaos NYC, and I'm really excited. This is my first live stream of Cards on the Table with Coach Tie Davidson. And tonight I have a very special guest joining me. And I'm going to bring her on in just a few moments. But I wanted to take a few minutes to just kind of set the stage, set the tone, set expectations, and just prepare everybody for a conversation that's going to be worth your time. And I promise you, it will be life changing, game changing, transforming. And that's what we're all about here over at Cards on the Table. Divine Chaos NYC, wearing the shirt, got to represent. All right, now bear with me, guys. This is my very first broadcast and my very first guest. So we may be working through a few challenges, but at the same time, I promise you, you won't be disappointed. So just bear with me just a few minutes here. Aha, Ada Brooks, can you hear me? Testing one, two, three.
I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can see you. Fantastic. You look amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, again, Ada, you and I have known each other for a very long time, and we've had conversations. And even in preparation for this show, you had me on your program, on your live stream a few weeks ago, and that was a very amazing time that we spent, an amazing session. And I want you to definitely, feel at home, feel comfortable here. About a month ago, and I shared this with our very dear friend and dear sister, Pastor Lakeisha Braggs from Lakeisha Braggs Ministries. I had a dream about a month ago. And in the dream, I was, there in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I was there at the church, 900 South Pine Awareness Center, Lakeisha Braggs Ministries, Trumpet in Zion, however you know it, right?
Right.
But in the dream, there was a service taking place, and our Dr. Ellie, Apostle Lawrence Braggs, our pastor, our spiritual father, our spiritual leader, was in my dream, and more or less, he just said to me, "Take Little Rock to New York." And so, for the people who have known me most and known me best over the last 30 years, most of my friends and most of my family were in Los Angeles, California, where I moved to about 30 years ago. And then I ended up in Santa Barbara, California. And then I came to New York about 6 years ago. So they don't know me in the church or in the religious or in the spiritual sense. They know me as the fun guy, the life of the party. But at the same time, my foundation has always been ministry. My foundation has always been the apostolic ministry. And so I wanted to share a little bit of that with the folks who know me, but also introduce, to some people who, really could, I think, benefit from just hearing our real life stories. And so again, Cards on the Table is me as a life coach, just giving people facts and tips and information and even help plans to take the steps that they need to make changes that they want to see in their own lives, and how to make those changes and how to apply those changes, but then also how to enter into healthy relationships, healthy collaborations, healthy partnerships, whether that's business relationships, personal relationships with friends and family. But sometimes the best relationship that we can have is the one that we have with ourselves. And so again, Cards on the Table is designed to meet you where you are, to help you get where you're trying to go, and to get there safely and healthy and mindfully. So with that being said, Ada, before I turn it over to you, I just want to introduce you to my audience and just kind of share a little bit of your background. And then, I'll lay out, just a few house rules, and then we'll just jump right into it. So again, welcome everybody to Cards on the Table with Tie Davidson, with my special guest and friend and collaboration partner, Ms. Ada Brooks. And Ada Brooks hails, again, I've known Ada, in my days in Little Rock. We went to the same church. We were good friends, although, we didn't really have like a close relationship, but like we knew each other from church. But I say good friends because everybody at 900 South Pine has always been a part of my being. And so, Ada, that includes you. But anyway, so Miss Ada Brooks, she's originally from Augusta, Arkansas. She has a MBA in Human Resources and a Bachelor's of Science in Business Management, and she is a certified HR consultant. She is also a licensed and ordained minister and published author of Bl3ssed Chick journal. And she is also CEO of her own jewelry business, Jewels by AB. She spends her time volunteering at her church, Awareness Center International, also known as Lakeisha Braggs Ministries, formerly known as Trumpet and Zion Ministries. But again, she is a HR consultant at Life Skills for Youth, and she teaches young people the foundations of human resources and business. And she is currently in a relationship with 2 adult sons, 6 grandkids, and 3 bonus kids. So all of that to say that she is very well qualified to be here. And I love just having conversations with her. We've gotten a chance to really catch up over the years and catch up on things that we missed over the years, I should say. And I promise you guys, she is a fountain of knowledge, a wealth of information, and a cheerleader for just healthy business practices and just being your better self. So with that being said, Ada, I'm going to now turn it over to you and let you come in your own way and tell the people who you are, and we'll just jump right into these transformations.
Well, hello, everyone. Ty, thank you so very much. Such an honor to be on with you on tonight with Divine Chaos, and we're going to lay the cards out on the table. Now, I want y'all to get ready because we're going to have some real conversations on tonight. But we promise going to keep it brief, but it's going to be very life fulfilling and life changing. So we're going to speak from our perspective as well as real life perspective. And we hope that you are able to take something away from tonight. So I'm just really honored to be a part and just ready to see what the rest of the evening is going to bring.
Fantastic. And so, again, thank you, Ada. And again, Ada has her own live stream, and you guys will definitely get her information from me at the end of this. And I will be reposting and resharing this on Facebook and on my YouTube channel, also Cards on the Table. So you guys will be able to go back and replay it, or if you missed the live version, you'll be able to go back and see it at a later time at your own convenience. But again, our topic for tonight, transformation through collaboration. So Ada and I did a joint session 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about, the workplace habits, professional qualifications, how to develop your professional skill set, things like soft skills versus your hard skills, and just some HR tips and things that, can help those of you who may or may not be, still active in the workforce or you're active on a 9-to-5 in someone else's business, or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're running your own show and you're making your own decisions. But at the same time, there are skills that we have to have in business. And it's amazing how, we think that, I can be this way for work and I can be that way in my personal life. But, everything is intersectional. And, in my honest opinion, what I have found is that the skills that I rely on most, even in my professional life, are the skills that I should have cultivated or honed or developed or polished in my personal life, because no matter where you go, there you are. And, you show up as you wherever you go. And so why not be the best version? Why not be the reliable version? And so again, you say, what does HR consulting have to do with life coaching? So like I said before, when we talk about skills and we talk about interacting with people and we talk about entering into partnerships, relationships, collaborations, not competition. And so a lot of times, when we're in professional settings and, we see people that we click with, and I'm saying click loosely, not in the sense of, let's all group up and form our own little solid group, but click up meaning you link up, you're like-minded, you have things in common. And in the workplace, but also in our personal lives, I think that it's always a good idea when you can link up with people who kind of share your same vision. Now, at the same time, and if I can just go here really quickly, there's a scripture that says, how can 2 walk together except they be agreed, right? And so sometimes, you can be agreed, meaning that you think alike, you're aligned in your vision or you're aligned in your thought process, but you don't always have to be in agreement. And so, meaning we don't always have to agree on doing things the same way. We know that we're working towards a shared goal, a collaboration, a partnership. But at the same time, I might like blue, you might like purple. But if there's a way for us to blend the colors, you can get something really new and really pretty. I think it becomes like indigo, right? But long story short, we didn't agree on the exact same colors, but we agreed that we wanted something new. So, again, I can agree with you, but I don't always have to just be everything the exact same way that you would do it. But again, to just kind of give more focus. So tonight's session, I wanted to focus on 4 pillars of what I think are my truth. And Ada, I will give you the floor to share your thoughts. And if you want to expound on anything, if you want to share something, you'll be able to do that. But the 4 basic pillars of tonight, pillar number 1, reveal thyself. And what I mean by reveal thyself, we've heard this, and again, I've heard this in, other philosophies. Again, I tend to come from a biblical perspective. So, because that's my foundation, right? That's what I grew up with. But at the same time, there's a scripture, but I've heard this in other philosophies where it says, physician, heal thyself, right? And so that means that, we have to do the work mentally, spiritually, physically to be healthy, mind, body, and spirit. But, before you can actually heal yourself, and again, people spend money on things like yoga, great, energy healing, if you're into that, whatever your thing is to help you heal, those things are useful. But the most important work that you can take on and the most important person to do that work is you, right? And so if we say, well, I pray and I believe in all these things, but, God is inside of you. You are God. And we say, let's be transformed by the renewing of our mind, right? So again, before I can heal myself, I have to be willing to do what I call shadow work. And in therapy, in psychology and psychiatry, there's this thing called shadow work. And shadow work is just more so taking a step back and going within and trying to identify the root cause of all of those traumas, or even those victories, those things that you celebrate about yourself, but it's going inside of you to find and pull out all of those things that have been holding you back, but that can also push you forward. But a lot of people don't like doing that, right? Because sometimes it's easier to look out the window before you look in the mirror, And so my idea about healing thyself, before you can heal thyself, you have to reveal thyself. And that means facing you, looking at yourself and saying, hey, you know what? I know I could do better at this, or maybe I haven't done my best at that. But at the same time, it's being honest, having honest conversations, putting your cards on the table and laying it all out there to do the work, to begin laying the foundation for the work. The second pillar, collaboration, not competition. So again, we've done work on ourselves and we realize that, there are things that we want to accomplish that we can't do alone. And sometimes, maybe the vision that we have is one, because if you're all inclusive and you want everybody to feel the joy that you feel and to be excited about the things that you're excited about, and you guys have those things in common, you enter into a collaboration or a partnership. But again, it's collaboration with the idea of achieving a common goal, a shared goal, not competition. And sometimes, we can kind of mix those things up because, depending on how we feel about ourselves, depending on how our day is going, if I say blue and you say purple, all of a sudden I think you're attacking me. Oh my God, she's disagreeing with me. She's competing with me. Well, no, that's not competition. It's collaboration. Again, we're agreed, but we're not necessarily in agreement about that. But at the same time, we're not competing. We're still working together. So the second thing that we're going to talk about tonight or touch on is collaboration, not competition. And again, just to repeat myself, be agreed, even if you don't always agree. I think I've explained that one, so we all get that. And then the last one, and I think where we'll end up, I want to talk about what we call in therapy and life coaching, imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome means that you show up for everyone else and you put your best foot forward for everyone else, but you don't do it for yourself, or you won't do it for yourself because for some reason you think that you're not good enough. It won't happen for you. It can't happen for you. You don't deserve any of it because you have been told or conditioned or led to believe that it's just not for you. For them, fine. For me, no. And so, again, one of the things that we've always said, in our days of ministry, it's like, what you make happen for others, God will make happen for you. And I love that. And that is true. But going back to what I said before, you are God. God is you. God is in you. God works through you. And again, we are heirs of God and joint heirs with Christ. And again, that just means that you're already part of it. Like you already have a built-in divine system that's ready to go to work for you. But if you keep telling yourself that, it's not for you, or you can only make it happen for somebody else. No, I'm telling you that what you make happen for others, the God in you should be working double time, overtime, past time to make the same things happen for you. God is making it, you, God, are making it happen for yourself. So we dismiss imposter syndrome. So, with that being said, Ada, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to start asking questions. But again, I want you to just share in your own way. So, my first question for you, and give me 1 second, I had everything queued up and ready to go, and now I can't find it. Here we go. Right. I talk a lot when I'm nervous, but the nerves are going away. I'm ready to get started. So again, welcome Ada Brooks, a blessed chick, but also one of my dear friends, and I'm just so happy to have you here. My first question, who is Ada Brooks as a mom, as a businesswoman, and as a collaborations partner? What's your story?
Oh my. Who is Ada Brooks as a mom? Well, being that I now have two adult sons, the mom role is more the coaching role because I can give you my opinion or suggestions. It's up to you, however you decide as my sons how they want to take um, the information. So now it's not, it wasn't like it was when we was coming up, you have to do this. Well, no, because now they're adults. So I have to allow them to make their own decisions. And sometimes that means making their own mistakes because contrary to belief, that's how you learn. Because sometimes you gotta fall. Because if your safety net is always there, you never really know what it is that you're supposed to do because you always have someone there, someone or something or somebody to catch you. So therefore, the mistakes that my sons have made and probably will make more, I have to allow them to make those mistakes. Now, if they come to me and they're looking for my opinion, and my guidance, that I'm going to give it to them. But now I'm just in the role of coaching and being there for my grands, just loving on them because I get an opportunity to do that. And all of my little mini me's is what I call them. So I get a chance to be there for all my little people. So that's me as a mom. Now, me as a business partner, collaboration, I'm open. I'm open to receive and I'm also open to give because in order to collaborate, just being that I just completed my HR certification, they said you don't hire the same person with the same strengths that you have because you're not learning anything. You want to hire the other person, that individual who has more than, say it, I'm not a finance person. I know some finance, but that's not my area of expertise. So guess what? I'm going to hire a finance person. You want to hire somebody who you can glean from, that you can pull information out of. So in case they do leave, guess what? I know what I'm doing now because I had that person to show me. But in collaboration, you have to be open enough and not think that everybody around you is going to be a yes, because guess what? It may not be. And it's okay because you don't want all yes people around you. Because if everybody is saying yes, 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 wait a minute, I need who gonna tell me no if I done made a mistake? And our mom used to tell us if you touch that oven, it's hot, keep touching it. But we have to touch it for ourselves. But you knew that oven was hot. So you just let me walk around here touching on hot things, knowing that it was already hot when you could have told me. Right. So it's good to have someone to collaborate with you, because the person you're collaborating with, you want to make sure that they can strengthen you. You want to make sure that you can grow from them. You want to make sure that it stretches the opportunities that we both can grow. It doesn't mean that they are against you. If you have an idea and they don't take that idea, guess what? It just wasn't that time. It wasn't the right time. That's right. All. So I love being the collaborator. I love being, I say a leader. I don't really say a boss. Right. It's so much come along with that as a boss, because a boss accepts credit for everything.
Mm-hmm.
A leader includes the team.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really care to be called the boss, but I will take the leader
Right.
because it's all inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
A leader builds, a boss sometimes tear down. A leader
Mm-hmm.
is compassion. The boss don't always have compassion. All they looking for is the bottom line and the numbers.
Right.
But so consider yourself a leader. If you are a leader, and then as a leader, look behind you, because you
Yeah.
got to bring somebody with you
Yes.
who's following you. If somebody is following you or want to follow you, or they hanging on by your coattail, that means you're leading very well. So
Mm-hmm.
consider yourself a leader, not boss.
Right. And with that, and again, I don't want to take up your time, but at the same time, there's an old saying that says that, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear,
Will
right?
come.
Again,
Absolutely.
I look at everything in opposites, right? Because sometimes when the teacher is ready, the student will appear.
Yes, absolutely.
So
But
on
that
the
also means that in order to be a good mom, be the collaborator, be the leader, be the boss, what have you, that means that I had to go in and do my own inner work
Mhm.
to get to where I am now. Because if I hadn't have did the work, then I could not appear. I
Right,
couldn't appear for myself.
right.
What is it? The comforter will come.
Yep.
Yes. So I had to be ready. The comforter had to leave so I could get ready.
Mhm.
And sometimes it calls for those close to us to leave. I'm sorry, as we call them, the crutch, the life supporter.
Mhm.
They helping me to breathe. But when they
Mhm.
walk away, okay, breathe, 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 push through, push through.
Right.
You're okay. You can breathe. But if those challenges, life challenges, if they had not come, and if I had not survived it, then I wouldn't have been able to show up for myself. I wouldn't have been able to heal myself.
Right.
Sometimes you got to go back and accept what you have allowed
Yes.
and what you accepted
Right.
to happen to you in order for us to grow and to reach the fullest potential that we're supposed to be in.
Hmm. Taking accountability.
You have to, because if you don't, because it is so much easier to blame everybody else, but at
Hmm.
some point you still have to own the part that you played in it.
Hmm.
Good, better, indifferent, better, or best, you still played a part in it, whether you accepted it or you didn't accept it, whether it aligned with you or it didn't. And oftentimes we say it aligned with us at that particular point in time, but then when you go back and you sit back and you think about it, you be like, now you probably shouldn't have done that.
Hmm.
But it's not until we've grown. It's not until we have grown and we're ready to accept accountability that I can say, you know what? I'm sorry. I apologize. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have did this. I probably shouldn't have walked away from that job out of my emotions.
Hmm.
I probably could have went to the bathroom, to the restroom, and counted to 10 and came back and did what my boss asked me to do. But no, because I was in my feelings, and most people, a lot of us have probably done that. We've operated out of our emotions. That's why we always tell people, don't send that email. You can't unsend it. Don't operate out of your emotions,
Hmm.
because it can affect you later on down the line. So we as adults have to now accept accountability for where we are.
Would you say there was one thing, or were there several things that kind of helped you to shift your thought and to shift your focus into saying, hey, you know what? Because I do have to take accountability, like what was the thing, or what were the things that made you realize that accountability is just as important as collaborating?
Yes, there were certain aspects that happen. The older we get, the better we are. In my younger days, it was that I didn't give a care type of attitude, because it's like, in my 20s and maybe in my 30s, it's like, I can always go find another job. Let's just be honest. We've all done it.
Yeah.
We can always go and get another job somewhere doing something. But it wasn't until I sat with myself and came to grips with all the past mistakes, because we've walked away from a job, we've probably gotten fired from a job, we've probably gotten laid off from a job, probably didn't raise our kids right, or wasn't there for them the way we wanted to be there for them, because we put ministry, we put work, we put everybody else before home.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the things that will cause us to look at ourselves, to say, wait a minute, you can't continue to operate in the same manner and expect different results. That's what we call, what do we call it? Crazy.
Insanity.
Insanity. You can't keep doing the same thing expecting different results. It doesn't operate in that manner. You have to be able, if you've had the bad relationships, if you've had the bad jobs, you have to take that bad boss who spoke down to you, who was condescending. You have to be able to take that and say, you know what? I've seen this red flag. I want to work in a better environment. You don't have to take the toxic environment. You don't have to take the hostile environment. And I know you're probably saying, but this job paid me so well. Is it really though?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really paying you that well that you got to go home and drink before you can deal with your family, knowing that, I got to repeat the same process tomorrow? What's more important to you? Because for me, I had, I'm gonna be a little transparent here. I had, this one job. It was a tidget challenging, one that I didn't expect for it to be as challenging as it was. And it was days that I was going home and me and wine had a good old relationship. And I don't mean a glass of wine. I don't mean a glass.
Disclaimer, most of my friend group, we're people, we love a good happy hour, we love a good martini and a glass of wine, but at the same time, we're people who understand that, the responsibilities that we have are always going to be there. And so have your wine, but be accountable, own your things. And like you said, find out what's causing the break or what could cause a break. And then you get ahead of it. But please continue. I like where this is going.
Because I was going home and wine was becoming my friend. And I was like, wait a minute. And I've never done that. Never. In any time that a job can cause you that much stress, that much anxiety, where it's taking you out of you, when it's causing your character to come into question, the things that you're feeling and that you're seeing, and that is not who you is, you just know. That's when it's time to make a change. That's when you say, okay, do I stay? Because I love the job. I did love the position. The pay was good, but I love me better. You have to pick what's going to suffice you, because if you don't, then that means who made them lord over you? Because now the wine and the job is becoming lord over me.
Right.
So I have to take my life back. I had to know within myself that that's not what God had for me. Mm-hmm. Because God's not going to bring you discord. He's not going to bring you chaos.
Right.
He's not going to bring you divine chaos. He's just not. He's going to put the cards on the table. Now you can pick whichever one you want, but he is not going to bring you chaos. Sometimes we create our own chaos. Yes. And then we want to say, oh, but God did this. No, he's not going to bring us chaos. Mm-hmm. We know it's chaos before a right order. And that was my chaos before a right order. And I
Right.
had to come to grips with that. I had to make a hard decision.
But you just did something that I like here. And again, because when I talk about, me as a life coach, and again, knowing that I have a foundation in, the traditional religion, I had a foundation in the church, and I just chose a different path for myself. Matter of fact, the path chose me, but it's one that allowed me to be more open and more universal and more accepting in just how I connect and collaborate. But you did something that I really like, and I really wish a lot of people, again, and I want my audience to know, like, we're not trying to, like proselytize and evangelize you here. That's not what we're doing, but we're trying to show you, we're being open and transparent and being honest to say that, we're flawed people. And even if we have a belief, we understand that even that belief does not eliminate, remove, or, erase flaws because we're human, right? But Ada, you did something that I really like because you said, I'm being honest. A lot of people will prop themselves up, against the backdrop of a religion or a philosophy or a degree, and then let's take it out of the religion, out of the spiritual realm for a second and put it into the professional realm, because some people hide behind their credentials, some people hide behind their accolades, some people hide behind their degrees, some people hide behind their positions. I think a lot of people approach professional situations as a form of therapy because they can't cope, and so they become the thing that they do because that's the only identity that they can feel comfortable in, because again, they don't want to be accountable for anything else, right? But you said, I know that I have this belief, and I believe in God, but at the same time, I knew that I wasn't perfect. I'm going to go home and drink my wine, and I knew that that wine, coupled with the things that were not working out for me, made me something that I really didn't want to be. But can you just kind of lean into that a little bit more? Because again, I like transparency. I like people saying, you know what, yeah, I'm still flawed. I'm not judging you because I know I'm still flawed. But can you kind of lean into that? Because that will actually take me into my second question, which is, what does collaboration mean to you? And why is it important in your life? Because again, you're doing all of this work to become a better person. Why is that so important to you? And what does that look like for you?
So, why is collaborating so important? Because collaborating not only allow you to see you, but it'll allow you to see the other person as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes it's our mess, if we want to say it that way, it's our challenges that make us. And I can easily look at a hurting person because I was once hurting. A hurt person will hurt another person, but a healed person will heal another person. So the collaborating piece, you want to make sure that you are healed
Mm-hmm.
and open enough, first and foremost, that you've done your work.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I hadn't done my work, I wouldn't be sitting here collaborating with you right now.
Right.
Just
Right.
being honest. If I hadn't done my work, if I hadn't taken the time to, um, as we say, go behind the veil,
Mm-hmm.
go and find something that creates peace with your life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's the four corner walls that you have to have a conversation with yourself with the four corner walls.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the conversation with yourself. Go to within your inner self and say, okay, what do I need to do differently to reach the potential that I am trying to reach?
Mm-hmm.
If that means that you come off of social media, then be diligent enough, be disciplined enough to come off social media because you know where you're trying to go. I'm not saying you have to stay off of social media, but if there was an unction
Mm-hmm.
and he told you to leave social media for 30 days, is that something that you're willing to do?
Mm-hmm.
Is that is something that you're willing to go inside and say, you know what, I know where I'm trying to go. And if this is what I have to do, then I'm going to do it because I need to be able to cultivate those things on the inside of me so I can be the creative being that I have been called to be. That's what collaboration will do for you. But you have to first get in a place to where you can hear.
Mm-hmm.
Not here, but here. Because once you hear, then you can hear here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to do that. I did that For me, I ended up moving physical location.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody is not able to move from spaces, but I knew what I wanted. And oftentimes we have to be mindful what we say because you just put it out in the universe. And what
Mm-hmm.
say, good, bad, or indifferent, be mindful what you say because everything you say will be the very challenge that comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you say, "Oh, I'm sick of this job, I'm sick of this car, I'm sick of this house, I want all things new," then guess what? When you start facing challenges on the job, the car start breaking down, and the
Mm-hmm.
house start getting all types of leaks. Guess what? But you said, "I'm sick of this job,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sick of this car, and I need a new house." We never know how we're going to get it,
Right.
but because you put it out, now it's about to happen.
Right.
But for me, I did. I physically moved location to location. And
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, when I moved from location to location, I got into a better space because I was able to hear and I opened myself up to allow God to work in order to have the collaborations that I needed to have. And this is where we are.
Gotcha. And that's funny you would say that because I have a good friend here in Brooklyn, as a matter of fact, and we met each other. I want to say during the pandemic, she's a barber hairstylist. So I was going to her to get my hair cut. A wonderful young lady, very artistic, very talented. She's originally from Chicago, but we both probably moved to New York around the same time, 6.5 years ago, before we met each other. But then we met each other once the pandemic took off. But I bring her up to say that last Sunday, because I hadn't spoken to her in a while, and last Sunday I got a message, a direct message on Instagram from her, and she said, "You know what, Ty?" She said, "I've been off social media. I decided to get off social media because I needed to take a break and I needed to clear my thoughts. But at the same time, my behavior and my patterns and just even some of the engagement that I was having on social media was putting me in a bad state of mind, right?" And so she said, "I took that time away, but at the same time, I've also decided that I'm moving from New York. I'm moving to Georgia, And so it's kind of funny you would say that because I knew that she was having challenges in her personal life and her professional life. And I knew that there were things that she wanted to do in her career that maybe she couldn't do here, or maybe just didn't even want to do here. But at the same time, it was her saying to me, taking that step back, like you just said, taking that break, disciplining myself enough to say that, you know what, because I'm trying to get clarity, I know that the things that I'm doing now aren't bringing me the results that I want to see. And she had just gone through this like amazing training program with a particular high-end cosmetics brand, or what do you call it, a beauty and like a beauty and cosmetology is what I'm trying to say. So she had gone through this like really amazing program, but again at the same time she still wasn't happy. So she's like, "I got the credential. I thought the credentials would make me happy. I thought me becoming a brand ambassador for this particular product line was going to make me happy, but at the same time I'm not happy." And she's like, she's a mother with two grown sons. She's tried being her own businesswoman. She tried working in other salons, and she's like, "You know what? I just can't do this in Brooklyn. I gotta go." But for her to get that clarity, she had to get off social media, but she also had to be honest. And so again, I'm really happy that you're able to share that and speak on that because, like you said, those things that we say and those things that we constantly profess, those are the things that kind of sometimes trip us up because we say that, it's the little foxes that destroy the vine, right? And it's those things that we say that we think are harmless or that we think, "Oh, I'm just venting. I'm just, just trying to get it out." But what are you getting out? What are you putting out? So getting something out and putting something out are two different things, right? And then oftentimes it's not even what you say, it's what you think because we only use 10% of our brains, right? There's this whole other 90% of our brain, our subconscious mind, that we don't use. And sometimes that subconscious mind is really the engine powering the car. And all of those things that you're not aware of going on in your subconscious are bringing you more of what you don't want, and you amplify that because you say it. So again, I just really appreciate you bringing that out.
Absolutely.
Which takes me into my third question for you. So now, what characteristics, qualities, or values do you look for in a partnership? You've gotten Ada together. You know where Ada is going. Ada has an idea where she wants to end up and how she wants to collaborate and who she wants to collaborate and partner with. But, again, what characteristics and qualities or values do you look for? What gets your attention?
So I can say what kind of gets my attention is how transparent is the individual willing to be? Mm-hmm. Are they showing up as their authentic selves? Mm-hmm. Or are they hiding behind their facade? Are they hiding behind their credentials? Because I don't want you to tell me about, well, I drive this kind of car and I have this type of job and, and I have, 6 feet. You're leading with tangible things, but mm-hmm. I need to know, have your mindset changed? Mm-hmm. Because are you willing to help someone else, or are you just keeping all of this information for yourself? Because if you're holding on to all of your information yourself, then you're not willing. To me, and maybe it's just me, and it might be a personal thing, but I feel like when individuals just hold on to information, why are you being selfish? Mm-hmm. How come you can't help the next person? That's all about collaboration, mm-hmm. is helping the next person. Because I always say, and it's something that I've used because I deal with a lot of young people, mm-hmm. Young adults, that 16 to 24-year-olds. And I hear people say, well, they shouldn't be acting like that. Somebody should be teaching them, but they ought to know. But we're asking them for a withdrawal, and no one has taken the time to make a deposit.
Yeah.
So how do you get a deposit out of something? How do you get a withdrawal if you're not willing to make a deposit? Mm-hmm. How have your life challenges taught you anything to the point to where you're ready to share? Because it's going to come a time that even if you're collaborating, you're going to have to Ada's going to have to go to chapter 25 of her life, mm-hmm. and share. That's all about collaboration. We can't be so closed off that we don't see what the next person is going through. Right. Because that's all about collaboration. It's being able to recognize, oh, I like them. I know the young people say, oh, it's a vibe. Okay, we're getting vibes. I got a vibe, right. Yeah, I got vibes. Okay. But we're getting vibes. That vibe is real, because that vibe will tell you positive and that vibe will tell you negative. Mm-hmm. And if you know that if I continue to have a conversation with Ty, and every time I walk away from Ty, I'm so drained, then that's a bad vibe. Then that's not a person that you're collaborating with. That's a person that just keep pulling and pulling and pulling information out of you. They're not depositing anything into you. They just keep withdrawing from you. They just keep making withdrawals, and you just keep giving it to them. That now they're in your overdraft. Mm-hmm. They done made so many withdrawals. They now in your overdraft, and at some point, your insufficient funds is gone. They have drained the account dry, but you keep saying, I'm collaborating with them. They're part of my team. You have to know who's a part of your team and who's not. Mm-hmm. That is very important, because you're going to have a person that you're going to collab with, that you can create with. You're going to have a person you can collab with that you all can speak spiritual to. You're going to have a person that you can collab with. We're just talking business. And then it's going to be a person that, now that's my person. That person, you have that one person that know all your secrets. They know what a dog buried the bone. They know all your secrets. But That's what I look for with somebody who I can collab with, because it won't all be the same. And just because it's not the same, it doesn't mean it's not working.
Right.
Just
We're
because
agreed.
it's not this right, we can agree to disagree. But we can also say, you know what, let's table that and we'll come back to it. Because
Yeah.
maybe it's just it's not the time yet. Who knew this was going to take place with Ada Brooks Consultant and Divine Chaos?
Right.
Because it wasn't time yet. Because
Right.
if I hadn't healed myself and got in the place of peace to where I was supposed to be, then how would have known to be able to hear, to call Ty and say, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
So be open enough to hear, but also open enough to understand that every individual is going to play a different part in your collaboration. And
Do
don't
you
get mad if that person decides to walk away and collab with somebody else.
Right, right. And I was going to ask you, do you think it's easier? And I'm just being silly now, but I'm also being honest. Do you think it's easier to have those conversations with men versus women, or do you find, or even like age, like what are some of the things that you think makes people resistant or make things a little bit more free flowing for you? Like, do you think women take things better? Young people versus old people, like just kind of what do you see?
I have a mixture because if you build a relationship with a younger person and they trust you, then that's the person that you can collab with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I haven't had the opportunity to collab with a woman yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we say yet because it's gonna happen.
Right.
Because I have some people that I have in the mix, and I'm really waiting to hear from God on who I need to collab with,
Right.
because it's not about competition. It's
Right.
not. It's about the meetings of the minds. And I need everybody to be open to hear and everybody open to understand, and who's going to align with the project that you have going on at that particular point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not to say that one sex, male or female, is going to be better, old or young. I believe that just finding the right individuals who's going to align with you at that particular point in time.
Gotcha. And that takes us right into my fourth question. So, like, of all the I know that, collaborations with partners is something that's fairly new for you. And again, I had the honor of being your first collab partner in a public space. Thank you so much. That meant everything. But I guess, just other experiences that you've had, how have collaborations transformed your life or reshaped your focus? What brought you to this being that you are today?
Well, what brought me to this today? Life experiences.
Good.
Life experiences. It didn't matter that because I was the late bloomer in getting my degrees in my 30s and 40s when I got both of my degrees, and in my 50s, getting my certification. Yeah, she's 50, y'all. She 50 plus. Okay, she 50
We don't
plus.
okay.
She 50 plus. But if I hadn't went through those life experiences, and it's okay to say I've had to deal with life. We can't pick and choose. Life didn't pick and choose us.
Right.
But because I experienced all of my different traumas, because I'm also the founder of a Blessed Chick. He stated that earlier. And a Blessed Chick is those individuals who have dealt with trauma, be it mental, physical, or sexual abuse. Yes. But way before my degrees, and I never would have thought that because I experienced that, it would help me here. But because God knew I needed that. And so a blessed chick is not about the tangible things. It's the mindset.
Mhm.
Once you've changed your mindset, yes, we've all gone through some sort of trauma, and some may be worse than others. And you
Mhm.
may be still going through your traumas, but guess what? Once you start going through it, own it,
Right.
accept it,
Right.
and now ask yourself, now, how do I grow through it? You don't have to stay in it. You grow through it. And
Mhm.
once you go through it, then you become the best version you're supposed to be for yourself.
Right.
Is it hard to do? Yes, but that's when you make sure you have the right people
Mhm.
around you. Be it a ministry, you may say, but I got hurt in a ministry. Okay, then find a new one,
Right.
because all of them are not the same. I don't care if you at Bedside Baptist. Turn on the TV. I promise you, you can get it.
Mhm.
And put yourself around the right individuals who can speak life to you and who can see the potential.
Mhm.
And that is what I love about where I am and where I have been for the last, come this September, it will be 30 years at
Wow.
the ministry of Trumpet and Zion Awareness Center, now
Mhm.
Lakeisha Braggs Ministries. That is what helped me to become the best version of myself.
I'm glad you said that because that's going to take me to my next question. But at the same time, I also want to acknowledge and agree with you because I think we're in that same time zone. It was August 29th, 1993, when I walked down that center aisle and took the hand of fellowship from Apostle Lawrence C. Braggs at Trumpet and Zion Ministries. So that's what, 30 years ago, pretty much like 30 years ago, a little over 30 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
5 years ago. But at the same time, I left, I went away. And when I left, and over the 30 years, and I promise you, we're going to do this again because I have a really good message about the prodigal son, and I really want to break that down. But it took me 30 years to boomerang back to where we are now and to where we are now with Lakeisha Braggs Ministries. And so again, over the 30 years that I've been gone, I've experienced a lot of things and I've had my thoughts, reshaped by a lot of things, but at the same time, my foundation is and always will be ministry, apostolic ministry, transformation. So now, and that's what brought us back together because we knew each other then, but we're just now connecting 30 years later on that boomerang, on that arc back around, right? And
Absolutely.
happy about that. I'm glad you pointed that out. But my next question, and I know we're coming up on time, what is your vetting process? What is your particular process for personal, professional, or social partnerships? So when you identify, people that, or after you've identified people that you may or may not want to collaborate with, like how do you bring those into the fold? How do you, have that conversation with them and decide, yes, this is the person or the people for my collaborations?
Well, it comes with communication.
Okay.
You have to have that communication first. You have to be willing to be open to hear where they are, because I could have called you and said, hey, I have this idea. What do you think about this? And you could have said, you know what, it sounds really good, but I'm not there yet. Or I
Mm-hmm.
may not be your person, because
Mm-hmm.
it could have been before time.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean that the collaboration probably wouldn't have taken place. It just wouldn't have happened when I wanted it to happen.
Right.
So just being able to have that communication with that individual or those individuals to see where they are, to see if they align with the vision that you have, that you're trying to unfold. Because what if you was in a play, or what if you were trying to get a new business off the
Mm-hmm.
ground, and you're having this conversation with this person, but everything is just negative, negative, negative? That may not be the person you need to be collaborating with.
Right.
Let's pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that person is, oh, you just trying to act like you better than everybody, or you trying to act like you big, no, that's not your person that you need to collab with.
Right. That sneaky shade, those mean no harm, as Pastor used to
Right.
call
I
it.
don't mean no harm. You
Yeah.
mean some harm. Okay. You might want to say, you know what? I appreciate you though. It's been really nice talking with you. Go to your next person. Go down your list. But be open enough and honest enough. First and foremost, be honest enough. Because just because you know someone doesn't necessarily mean they have your best interests at heart.
Right. I don't know. I don't want to plug a movie, but I just saw a really popular movie right now. I won't say the name, but at the same time, the movie is all about inviting the wrong people, into your spaces, and those people are coming with an agenda to do you harm. So when they say, they come to steal, kill, and destroy, everybody that we say, oh, just come on in, they're not coming in for the right reason. And even in collaborations, business, personal relationships, everybody that we take a liking to, and we think they've taken a liking to us, but sometimes, like you just said, when people make little sneaky, like sideways comments, that's a pretty good indication, a red flag. And sometimes, we see the red flags and we don't ignore them. We just think, oh, well, they don't mean anything. We'll just see what happens. And then before you know it, there you go, right?
Right. And sometimes I get it. Sometimes they can be the closest ones to us.
Mm-hmm.
And say it is the closest one to you. Can you have that conversation with them and still keep them close?
Right.
Are you willing to have that hard conversation with them? Are you willing to have the adult conversation with them and say, hey, I noticed that, every time I said I wanted to start a business, you always felt some type of way. What was that about?
Right.
Just tell me how you feel and I'll be okay. Just be honest with me, but don't try to stab me in the back or don't try to tell me that I'm acting like I'm better than everybody else. I'm not, because it's going to come a time to where you will be the chosen one from your family to leave a generational wealth for your family.
Right.
Somebody has to be willing to start it. And
Right.
just because I'm the first person to start it, it doesn't mean it have to stop with me.
Right.
It doesn't mean I can't bring you along with me. It doesn't mean I don't have a place for you, but don't shun me either.
Right.
So be willing to have those real transparent conversations, especially when it comes to those really, really close, if it's a family member or even if it's our extended family, but be willing to have those hard conversations because it can hurt you in the process, because we do get to a point to where we want to bring everybody with us. But we also have to understand that we can't bring everybody with us.
Right.
And just because I can't bring you with me, it doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It's just mean right now, this is where I am. It doesn't mean I won't come back and get you.
Right.
Just right now, this is where I am.
Right. Awesome. And then how do you measure the outcome to determine, develop, and duplicate a winning formula? So, you started with me, you have another guest lined up, and as you continue to go and grow, how do you keep repeating that cycle, that winning cycle?
Every cycle will not be a winning cycle, first and foremost.
Okay.
Every cycle will not be a winning cycle. However, you do look back at where you started and where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because every step that you take, applaud yourself for at least taking a step. Because what good is of you to have all of this information, all this creativity, and you hold on to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't let it come up and out, and you don't birth something.
Mm-hmm.
You have something. You have to be willing to let it come up and out. Why are you trying to keep holding on to the very thing that God told you to do, and you trying to sit on it, and he trying to move you out the way, but you trying to. One of y'all gonna give up the fight, and I don't think it's gonna be God. Okay, I'm just saying.
Right.
So to measure it is to look at how you keep going
Mm-hmm.
and the information that you're putting out and the impact that it is making. Don't look at your numbers and see who you are reaching, because guess what? If you just get one person, then you be like, okay, I probably ain't doing too great. I only got one person. No, because you're not doing it for individuals. You're doing it for the impact that you're wanting to make and that you're wanting to leave. Because that one person may be the very person that you're saving.
Right.
And they can take it and say, oh my God, on Thursday, I came across this live with Tie Davidson and Divine Chaos in New York City. And he had this lady on there and she was speaking. That's the impact
Right.
that you're trying to make. It's not the numbers, it's the impact. Because once you make the impact, then everything else will take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
But you definitely cannot continue to sit on the gifts that has been given to you. You cannot continue to not pay attention to your mess that becomes your ministry. You cannot no longer look at my mom wasn't there, my daddy wasn't there. What I'm supposed to do with that? Okay.
Right.
Become the psychologist like most of them do.
Right.
Or the psychiatrist, you know, but be the person, because you would be the one that's going to go work in an orphanage. You're going to be the one to go open up a nonprofit because you don't want another child to feel abandoned. You don't want another individual to feel abandoned because that's the way you felt.
Right.
So it's our life that introduces us to our gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we never understood why our lives turned out the way it did, it definitely will introduce us to our gifts.
Right. And as we wrap it up, that's a good place to just remind the people. And again, for people like you and myself, where we've been in ministry, and we say, your gift will make room for you, and that's true. But trauma sometimes is a gift in and of itself, because again, trauma gives birth to creativity later. Once you can reveal yourself to heal yourself, no longer conceal yourself, but now you can be true and share that with everyone, right? And so sometimes that means that, like you said before, timing. It's all about timing. And so with that, my last question, and you can take us on out with this one. What advice would you give to anyone seeking your advice, or even opportunities to work with ABC, to get to know Ada Brooks Consulting, to get to know Ada Brooks? What advice would you give?
My first advice I would give is be the light in someone else's life other than just your own. Remember, you are the gift.
Yes.
And do not accept less than what you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And you can reach me on all of my platforms at Ada Brooks, Ada Hunter Brooks on Facebook, AB Consultant 1 on Instagram. I just created a Bl3ssed Chick Instagram page today.
Nice.
So please reach out. I can be reached at 501-291-1650. You can also send us an email to abc@abchr101.com. I'll be more than happy to answer all of your HR questions. If you want to talk about a Bl3ssed Chick, we can talk about a Bl3ssed Chick. That is becoming very, very near and dear to my heart. Oh, yeah, that's a whole different story. But,
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ada, and to my audience. Thank you guys for tuning in. And again, if you weren't able to join us on the live, I will be sharing this after, and you can go back and watch at your own leisure. But again, I want to thank Ada Brooks of A Bl3ssed Chick, of Awareness Center International, Trumpet and Zion, but also Lakeisha Braggs Ministries. And again, shout out to Lakeisha Braggs Ministries. But Ada, this will not be our last collaboration. And again, I just know that you have so much more to share that my audience can benefit from. So please, feel free to come back at any time. And if you ever want to just, come on your own, don't wait for an invitation from me. Just say, hey, Ty, let's go live. I'm here for that. But again,
all right. Well, I think we need to do one on the Bl3ssed Chick, because I feel like that's the one that really needs to be done. But we'll talk about that one.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you again real soon. Thank you for joining Cards on the Table with Tie Davidson and Ada Brooks.
Thank you, Ty. Bye.
Bye.